Hi there. So today I'm just going to walk you through a very basic demo showcasing the breadth of Ortege solutions. So really what we want to do is kind of showcase how all of the products within our product suite interact together to give us the final product of Ortege Blocksmith. So really, what we do is we're a data analytics platform and we are aimed to be a successor to June Analytics. And really what we want to showcase, or what I want to showcase today, is how you can use our June competitor, which we call Ortege Studio, which I have here in front of me, in order to write SQL against our data sets, generate a chart, publish that chart, have that chart independently verified, and then be able to publish that chart to the broader ecosystem. So really the way I see Ortege Studio is as a content publishing platform, very much like a WordPress, but dedicated to data analysts and data scientists, where they can come in to Ortege Studio and later this year Ortege Notebook, create the content they want to create, such as dashboards, analytics, or in the future with notebooks, really advanced data science experiments, simulations, things of that nature, which can then be published to a broader audience. So when I mean publish, I mean we publish all of our content creators' work into distribution channels. So currently, we're in the web as a distribution channel for Ortege Studio, and that's where Ortege Studio fits. But really, we're seeing much more people move towards communication platforms as their primary place where they hang out. So we want to distribute the content into Telegram at first, and then later we'll expand into Discord and Slack. So when I talk about distribution channels, we talk about a product called Ortege Blocksmith. Blocksmith will allow you to do a bunch of functionality, which I'll get into as we get into that part of the demo. But yeah, let's begin. So first of all, I'm in Ortege Studio. I'm just writing a basic SQL over here. So really, I just want to kind of come in here. I want to get a bunch of information about stacks. So over here, we're using Ortege Lakehouse v2. So we're looking at publishing a release. We think we're about 20 to 50 times faster than June with this, but we'll have formal verification of that, or at least an experimental verification of that in the upcoming weeks and months. But yeah, you can see our blockchains we support. So we've got Stacks, we've got Bitcoin, we've got pricing, and we've got Stellar. So all I'm doing here, and I'm just doing a very basic, very basic query on Stacks, which is basically showing how many people are stacking, which is their version of staking, as you would in a proof of stake system. And this is just individual stackers or stakers and how much they've done. So there you can see they have different versions of their staking contract, 3 and 4 in this instance, and then the amount that these people have extended their staking for. Okay, cool. So I can now save this. So let me just save it as a data set. So I can say demo test. That's going to save it as a data set, and then I'll be able to write a chart against that. So I can do a whole bunch of charts. Let's just do something simple. What do I want to do? Let's just do a line chart, should be grand. Okay, cool. Sender address. Or let's just do an amount, and then against the POX version, save. Yeah, so there you can see a bunch of stuff. Again, I haven't independently verified this data, it's just for the purpose of this demo. But yeah, there you go. We also have some cool stuff here, so we can do some basic like time series prediction. So predictive analytics, we use Face or Meta's for profit library for this. Pretty cool for people that want to play around with predictive analytics. Whatever. We're just going to save this. So we're going to say demo stacks chart. Okay, and I'm going to save it. Oh, sorry. So I don't want to add it to a dashboard. I just want to save it. Okay, so now it's actually saved. Cool. So it's part of all of my charts. So over there. Now, one of the things we really want to do, which we feel June is quite lacking in, is independent verification of analysis and data. So if I was a content creator, I would create this chart, but ultimately I'd submit it to the Ortege team to get certified. the Ortege team would come in and they would actually certify this. So we'd certify this chart as being certified, and would say there'd be a whole bunch of kind of like certification details, right? So, you know, provided by, audited on this date, etc., etc., right? And then we'd certify that chart. Now this is where things start to kind of get into the content publishing platform, right? So any chart that would be published through Ortege Studio would then become available on Ortege Blocksmith. As I mentioned earlier, Ortege Blocksmith is our distribution mechanism. So we use it to distribute our internal technology to a broader audience. So let's, it's always easier to see rather than me explain. So here's Ortege Blocksmith. It's a staging, so this isn't production. It should be production quite soon, but not quite yet. So as you can see, I'm in Telegram. So let me just start the bot. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do is it's going to ask you whether you accept the privacy policy. So this is because we kind of store a bit of data in order to make the bot better, so that we can kind of run metrics, how quick things are, all of that. A bunch of other things, because at a later stage when we deploy our mobile DApp on Telegram, there'll be obviously other aspects. You know, users will have to be above 18, they'll have to do a bunch of things. So let's accept the privacy policy. Okay, cool. It just tells us a little bit about Blocksmith. So this bot offers a powerful suite of tools. We do a blockchain explorer in Telegram. We do a specialized blockchain large language model. And then we do, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the Ortege Studio charts. So if I click on Studio Chart, you can see this is still staging, so we haven't actually integrated that yet, but we're working on that, and hopefully that'll come out pretty soon. If we want to go into the Blockchain Explorer, let me just get some sample transactions, and we want to look at a specific transaction. We can actually, this is a Bitcoin transaction. It's a Bitcoin transaction from one of the Stacks miners. And I believe, I can't remember, I've got a sample set, but I believe this transaction is this miner paying Stacks paying Bitcoin in order to receive Stacks. So there you can see the total input of that Bitcoin transaction was 7.07 Bitcoin, and then the total output with the change, the fee. You can actually then go to a more fully featured Explorer if you want to see. You can see the inputs, and then you can see the outputs over here, okay? And then you can see like a chart. So again, you can see that's the input, and that input created those 4 outputs. So obviously we'll be formatting these charts to make them a lot better looking, but for now, as I mentioned, we're just in staging. Cool. So that's a Bitcoin transaction. If I want to see a Stacks transaction, I can just do, I'll do a very basic token transfer. So I think this is just someone transferring a Stacks from one wallet to another. So you can see there's a transaction hash, there's the fee rate, there was a sender and block number, that was the date, it was success, and there was a token transfer. We could probably add amount here. It's not in a future release, just to clean this up a little bit. But you can see we've got a blockchain explorer that's deployed via Telegram. Now what we can see is we can see the blockchain large language model. So currently we have 2 partners. We have StonFi, who have been really cool to us. They're the second largest DEX on Ton, but if you actually go into it and you look a bit deeper, Dust has more TVL on Ton, but it's only got like 1 or 2 pairs that do really well. It doesn't actually cover the breadth of the tokens in the ecosystem. So whereas StonFi definitely does. So even though I think Dust has more TVL, I think it's a vanity metric. I think StonFi is actually where most of the activity is happening, and I think they're the one that's more fostering the local ecosystem. Anyway, just my opinion. So they've been partners to us, and then Hyperlane, we've been partners and friends with them for a long time, you know. So they approached us and they really wanted a tool for their business development team to help them. So what Hyperlane do is they allow anyone to permissionlessly integrate into a bridging ecosystem. So like if you go to Axelar or Layer 0, any of those bridges, you have to kind of ask them whether you're allowed to add your chain to their ecosystem. Whereas Hyperlane just says, you provide this config, you set this up, and then boom, automatically you have bridging if you EVM. and then you're just connected to this like whole ecosystem of like bridging chains. It's a very cool product, and they asked us. I'll show you like kind of the use case as we get into it. But so for StonFi, we're gonna go, okay, cool, StonFi. What this actually does is then when you choose StonFi, it actually takes data specific to StonFi. So developer documentation, like chats between their developers, can take Discord information, it can take Slack, it can take any information, and then like generate this kind of context aware large language model that you can ask it. So I'm gonna ask it like something about like for us, for example, like when we launch our Jeton, which is the ERC20 standard on Ton, we need to launch it on a DEX or two DEXs hopefully, and then have arbitrage volume between them. So I wanted to know how we could launch our Jeton on StonFi. So I said, how do I create a pair of my token against Ton on StonFi? Okay, so now what this is doing is our large language model now has all of this context. So it has all of the developer logs, all of these chats, everything. So it knows when people have asked these similar questions, when people have struggled. Because often what will happen with developers is, you know, a team will write documentation, then they'll develop. And then like the documentation almost goes out of like sync, or like it's no longer valid almost from the first day. Right, so then like developers can follow the documentation, but like it's not going to help. At a certain point you get stuck. So generally, you know, how developers then help each other is they go onto online forums, Telegram chats, Discord chats, primarily Discord for developers, and they ask questions amongst themselves, and they help each other out. So we can take those actual logs, and you know, we have all of the information from those logs. So we can we can take those logs, we can contextualize it into a large language model, and then have it reason about like all of this common knowledge. And that's pretty much what we're doing. Again, this is quite slow at the moment. It's something we do need to work on. So really, why it's slow, I mean, I won't go into too many details, but here we go. So to create a pair of your token against Ton on StonFi, you'll need to follow it. Deploy your token. First need to play. Make sure your token follows the TEP89 standard. That's super helpful if you're coming into a new ecosystem. Imagine you just write this contract and it doesn't adhere to these standards. It means interoperability within that ecosystem is limited. For example, if I didn't deploy my token according to that standard, I wouldn't have it be able to be seen in Telegram wallet. Like for example, if you go to the wallet and stuff and you look at a token, you can actually see these tokens and they share metadata and things like that, right? So if you look at mine, there you go, right? So these are it's very important, and it's like it saves a developer a lot of pain. So we'll initialize the pool. It even gives us the code. So if I was a developer, I know it's TypeScript grand, I just copy this code, I chuck it in, boom, there's the code written. I've got a starting point, you know, and then like now I can keep context. So like, let's say even if I ran that code and I was in an error, I'd say it's given me this error. The large language model has enough context so that it can reason about that and guide you. So like it'll get you there. It might not be like, it'll be better than going through the documentations generally. Like I definitely find that. Anyway, so super helpful for me, especially as I'm learning about smart contract development on Ton. This is so much easier than me having to manually reach out to developers for help. So super useful. And then Hyperlane, what we have for Hyperlane. So really what they want is they want people to be able, or partners, specifically their biz dev partners, to generate a very simple file. Okay, so the way that you integrate with Hyperlane is you generate like a config file, and I think it's in YAML or it's in some like data format, and it asks, and there's a bunch of stuff you need to put in there. You need to put in like your chains URL, maybe like your token name, and a few other details. And then once you've got that, you can take that config and you can give it to the Hyperlane team, and they'll kind of merge it into their code base, and your chain will now be supported by Hyperlane. So what what they want to do is they want to help the biz dev guys, because they're getting massive inbound. Like everyone wants to integrate them because, why wouldn't you? They're amazing. So they're getting all these biz dev guys that can't code, and they're like, oh, how do we integrate? How do we integrate? So they just want to say, okay, well, just go to Ortege, just say, right, basically generate config for permissionless, okay, and then what it will do is it'll actually generate that config for you. This is still a little early. Eventually what will happen is it'll actually guide you through the step by step. So it'll actually start off and say, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. What's your chain name? What's your chain ID? What's your domain ID? What protocol are you? What are your RPC? I mean, it'll generate all of this. Then literally all you would do is you'd copy and paste that and send that to the Hyperlane biz dev team. Or in the future, there'd be a button here which says push to Hyperlane, and if you push that, it would actually create the GitHub pull request on Hyperlane's GitHub, and they'd literally just need to approve it, and boom, your chain is live within their ecosystem. So that's actually a super cool use case that we're working on. So yeah, that's kind of Blocksmith, and that's Ortege Studio, which is where we're at today. So I hope you enjoyed it. Would love to hear more. Love to see people using it. So if you want to use it and let us know what you think, we'll love feedback. We really love feedback. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from you.